tune. That is Meta playing on Baze Radio. Very good morning to you and welcome to the AM. And it's about that time we get things started off on the highest of notes. But I love that my guests are actually wearing the headphones so they can witness this greatness.
And now, make some noise! Turn up your radios.
I just want your autograph!
For our Baze Radio guest. Stay tuned.
Yes, it is not a hoax. It's not a joke when I tell you that Maureen Were and Jerry Wamwigwi are in the house. Yeah. And yes, first of all, I am so excited because I think with everything that's been happening, this is the perfect time to have this conversation. It is the perfect month, considering it's also Child Abuse Awareness Month. And for those of you who are wondering, why are they in studio? Let me put you on just a little bit. So I'm pretty sure you've seen this poster of a lady with red lips. Probably you've seen it, you don't understand what it is. And this is just for me to tell you that there's a campaign that is currently ongoing called Red Lipstick and Femicide. And the objective is to raise awareness and to advocate for the legal recognition of femicide as a distinct crime in Kenya. And it's funny because as I've posted this mail that I got yesterday, there's a guy who's come to my DM and he's asked me, is it not a crime? Mm-hmm. And, it had me thinking for a second, like, truly, is it not a crime? Yeah. So what have you been doing this whole time? And I think it would be beautiful to start with you, Jerry. First, tell us what you do, how you do it, how long you've done it, and we can deep dive. I think that would be a perfect place to start this conversation.
All right. My name is Jerry Migwe. Mm-hmm. I work for an organization called Usikimye. Mm-hmm. Usikimye obviously is Swahili for Do Not Be Silent, yes, which is why we're here. We work on the intersection of gender-based violence in Kenya and femicide. Mm-hmm. We've been alive to the fact for 6 years as an organization. And Usikimye was founded because of femicide, actually. It was founded on the premise of the death of Dr. Ivy Wangeshi in 2019, April 9 to be specific, when she was killed. And the reaction that came after her untimely death. Mm-hmm. The fact that people were able to make memes, the fact that people were able to put their access as their PFPs was for me a very, very stunning, very shocking, very disturbing. And from there on, we grew as an organization where now we have safe houses, we have a feeding program, we have women empowerment programs, psychosocial support and response to issues and cases of gender-based violence across the country.
I like that.
Yeah.
So, to start off with the question that Chanzu just asked, where he's actually very surprised that it's not a crime, would you like to enlighten us more on why it's still not officially been recognized as a crime?
It's not, no one is saying it's not a crime.
Mm-hmm.
Murder of somebody in Kenya is considered homicide.
True.
But for femicide, it's a distinctive crime. Mm-hmm. You see the way when you go to court and they say this is manslaughter, yes, that is homicide, this is
second degree.
Yes, and so on and so forth. This is not any other homicide. And as I was telling my colleagues as we came here, if somebody came in here and shot all of us, women would not go out in the street and start shouting, hey, they've been femicide, that's femicide, right? However, femicide has a distinctive pattern. And it's a crime of misogyny. And it's an entirely preventable crime that can actually be prevented. And as I like saying, that a lot of what we see is a culmination, of unchecked gender-based violence. Unfettered, it's runway. You beat me today, no one takes you anywhere. Yeah. See, we say that two people are not wawili. Na wanapendana. In fact, it's a Kenyan saying now. Yeah. We've made it so commonplace. And so what starts as banter, we call it banter. Yeah. I actually tell a lot of people that may not be aware, Kukula Fair started with the death of Dr. Ivy Wangeshi. Because alikula fair, isn't it? And it became a thing. And now it's mainstreamed. It's a common thing, but nobody even looks at it. From something that was considered banter, somebody died.
True.
Right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of times it's the loose words, how we say, how we look at women, how we treat women, how we look at us. And, by us, I mean women. Yeah. And we treat them like, what do we say, chombo? Sometimes I look at the misogynistic kind of wordings that refer to women, and you start to understand when you see us as not enough, or not equal, or not same, then it's very easy for you to dismiss us. True. And then from what is locker room banter, we move on into how we normalize, gender-based violence in our relationship, from emotional violence to psychological violence to now going to physical violence. Because I was looking at the killing that happened on the 23rd for Naomi Chebet, and her husband was posting on Facebook threats. And even when we asked him, why did you? He said, because alinijibu. So he murdered her because alimjibu. I mean, have you ever heard anything like that? And the reason why this is highly offensive is how many times do our bosses tell us things and we don't kill our bosses?
You take it and you sit on it.
Yes,
truly.
But when ukienda home, you've had a bad day and I've had a bad day, na nikujibu, your answer is to kill me. So we need to start asking ourselves, what is this that prompts us to kill? And how many of these people are just walking free?
True.
Because I can promise you, only about 10% of femicide cases
face full law.
Go to law.
Yeah.
So to answer his question, why we need femicide to be a distinctive crime on its own is because we can be able to measure, all right? We can be able to see the impact, we can be able to have a follow-up, because right now, a woman is killed, and so, did we not just see it during the Kware deaths?
Yeah.
Where somebody was brought into our televisions, into social media, paraded around, and in 10 days later, he magically disappeared from one of Kenya's most watched over police stations. It's in a diplomatic area. It's a diplomatic police, but somehow miraculously he managed to, to Jesus himself out.
Not the
Hey. I know. But actually, I like that you said that most of these cases are linked to gender-based violence. And I think there's a notion or an understanding that many Kenyans, even women, that we do not have, because is femicide is it only when it is under gender-based violence is when it should be considered as femicide? Or is it even woman to woman? Or can it just be even, I am not in a relationship with anyone, but somebody, is that still considered as femicide?
That's why we say femicide is very distinct, all right? When we look at femicide, majorly, it has to have a relational issue attached to it. And when it is not, it's something like honor killing, where, and even the killings of elderly women under the guise of,
It's okay.
under the guise of witches. It is the deliberate killing of a woman because she is a woman. All right? It's very misogynistic. When we look at elderly women who are killed, and not just in Kisii, they also killed in Kilifi, and they were also killed in Maranga a year and a half ago, where 4 women were killed. And all these people wanted were their lands. Yeah. But how else could they get this land? But by accusing you of witchcraft. And then what happens when you've been accused of witchcraft?
You're tortured to death. Yeah.
So why are old men not being tortured to death, but old women are being tortured to death? You see now why that is distinctively femicide. Then when you come down to something like honor killing, and we see it in an example of Gala Aden, where this girl was 17 years old. She was taken by a 55-year-old man to get married, and when she refused, what did they do? They killed her. Yeah. That is honor killing. What is that? That is femicide. She was distinctly killed because she is a woman. And these killings I'm talking about, that happened, last week?
2 weeks ago?
Yeah, last week. And then we move on. You come to now killings that are done fundamentally by gender-based violence. A lot of these killings come from people we love. Odipodev did a research, and they came up with 75% of femicide cases are done by people we love. Husbands, boyfriends, lovers, so on and so forth. And then now we come to the other distinct killing, which is the killing of sex workers. Sex workers are killed simply because they're a woman. True. I had sex with you, I don't want to pay you. I kill you. I have sex with you and I decide I have a feeling of guilt or whatever it is. I kill you because you're disposable, right? And so it's looking at women as though they're disposable. That is a problem. So distinctively, if you go on looking, you will find a lot of it is really, really based on abuse. And what is abuse if it is not gender-based violence?
Oh, wow. I think we're going to take a breather right there, but the conversation is just about to get started, guys. We are not even scratching it yet. But as we get into it, it's good music and coming right up after these messages. That is Bald Man by Bien and Arnold Rimbui playing on Baze Radio. Very good morning to you and welcome to the AM. And of course, it's about that time we get back into our conversation. And yes, at least you got to hear the premise from Njeri's POV, but now it's about time we switch it up just a little bit and listen to what Maureen has to say. And if you don't know Maureen, she is the head of influence at Ogilvy Africa. And first of all, thank you so much for partnering and making this a success. But I would love to see it from your lens. When we say success for such a campaign, in your eyes, what does that look like?
Femicide being not a crime needs public advocacy. And the only way you get to the public is if you can rally as many partners as possible.
Okay.
Every segment of community listens to different people. And here, Njeri was already the spearhead of this initiative. Joanna comes in with a beautiful sense of the culture. Her followers are people in those relationships, in those realities, in universities. So we needed to bring in partners who are actually in the segments where public participation can come through. Our picture of success is 100,000 signatures. In Kenya, the threshold for anything to be tabled into parliament is 100,000 signatures from the public. And these have to be Kenyan citizens. So also we are really cognizant of who's signing the petition and are they identifiable so that we can be able to say the nation has spoken. But further to the 100,000 signatures, there's a cultural issue we need to tackle. As Njeri mentioned, femicide is actually the apex of the problem. Underneath that, there's conversations we need to have about misogyny, right from office place harassment to women walking around Nairobi in the evening, checking their bags consistently, getting into an Uber and hoping that you get to your destination, sending your children to school hoping that the teachers are not going to abuse them, going into your relationship and hoping that your partner is truly your partner and will not hurt you. So we have to trigger conversations in all those communities. We can't do it alone as an agency. We need the communities we work with already to do that for us and in the most authentic way to their audiences. And finally, also to normalize hard conversations in the community. Femicide is one of the problems we have, but if you look at the Kenyan scope, there are so many other issues we need to be talking about, right? If it's gender-based violence, we need to, at some point, get to a place where people are abusing children, you know, and girls are being seen. I read a letter from Maya, one of the victims, and she's 9. And you wonder if she qualifies for all the things we are talking about. She's not in a relationship. She was playing outside. Yeah. How do we sensitize communities to think about even the other issues that we are harboring if we don't tackle femicide? Because it's just at the end of, it's like the ultimate 1,000 ways to die in Kenya.
No, truly.
Very bad joke, but but we really need to get people to a point where they can talk. And even radio being part of it, your community understands femicide very differently from the women in Muranga who are farming right now. They're thinking of providing, and if they don't take food home, they could die. Yeah. But for us, it could be a said no in a club, and a guy just decided to kill me in the toilet.
True.
So if those conversations don't happen, we then lose out on the community changing, the cultural nuances we've developed, abandoning things like kukula fair. While it trended, it was a wrong trend, and people can stand up and say, that's a wrong trend, by the way. Someone died. Let's find another thing. So we really want to fix the community. It will take a long time. We are aware of that. But the partners we have are strong enough, and we will stand behind them for as long as we can to make sure that those conversations happen. We get the petition into parliament, and also getting into the task force. There's a femicide task force that was assembled by the president, and we want to be able to work hand in hand with them to table that as public participation. So it's not just what the report generates from their perspective as government and their partners, but also what are the people saying. That it's really a strong motion to bring forward. My biggest hope is that when it goes to parliament, there will be more yeas than nays. I think that's the only thing we need to
cross our fingers,
dedicate to Jesus, pray to the mountains. But we really need to see our parliamentarians also show up and actually say yay to this, because it will fix a lot of the issues we have in the community beyond talking about the issues.
And I like that you just mentioned that. I'd love to hear from both your perspectives. When it comes down to the system, what would you say are some of the things that the system is doing to purposely fail women?
Everything. what is the system doing to do anything for women? We have protections. Let's say, for example, we have the Domestic Violence Act. We have the Sexual Offences Act, which both do not identify femicide as a distinct crime on its own. They don't even identify that following this, somebody can actually at that end be killed. I feel like there are no real tangible things that you can say have been done to even protect women. Our Constitution, COK 2010, the instrument itself provides 2/3 gender role.
Yeah.
That is the bare minimum. And that bare minimum has not even been respected. All right? And so you find that there is really nothing out here that really gives women the protection that is required, that gives children the protection that is required. Children die in Kenya every day, and nobody does anything about it.
True.
We saw children die in Nyeri.
Yeah.
The school is open,
Up
and it's
running.
back to business, and nothing happens. So this is why I keep on saying women and children in this country are really considered disposable, even by us, because as a parent, why would I take my child
Back
to a
there.
school
True.
that they saw their classmates die?
True.
There's something very wrong with us.
True.
How we are tuned in and how we are. We hate women, we hate children. Because there's something very wrong about all of that. Yesterday I was reading on Twitter where somebody said the child was sick in school and died. And I was like, what do you mean? And I read this every other week. And I'm like, where are parents? Why aren't you on that?
True.
You know, like all of you, what makes you assume because that child died, yours is special?
can't, yeah.
Like, I don't get it. We are so in ourselves that we actually don't see this as a problem. And that's why we don't provide protection. Street harassment.
Yeah.
You try walking in town
As a woman.
as a woman.
It's a mess.
It's horrible. And I hope you know that this is a week of anti-street harassment. This week. Not only is it the Child
Abuse awareness.
Abuse Awareness Month, it is also the sexual violence.
Assault, yeah.
Assault, actually, Awareness Month. But this particular week is the Anti-Harassment Week. Street harassment. Okay? And ask women when they're going home, when they're going to get tattoos, how it is for them. Ask them when they're even standing in those queues if they even feel safe. Right? And when you say all these things, where are the safeguards? Who is listening? Who cares? When we are in a place where in 1 week, 7 women died, have you heard anybody say anything about it? No one is championing about it. No one is even talking about it. When somebody is in parliament, unfortunately, using... I apologize. But they say that even within the corridors of power, they're being harassed.
Yeah.
What does it say about us as a country when we have voted in rapists, when we have voted in murderers? We have somebody sitting comfortably as a governor on his second term, when on his first term he was accused of killing Sharon Otieno and her unborn child. They're there, they're in that parliament, they're in those rooms. So who is supposed to offer us protection? Who is supposed to care enough for us if we don't care enough for ourselves? But I keep reminding us, we are 50% of this country. That makes us a very good majority. And if only women can come together, we ourselves can make a difference.
We can.
We are our own protection.
We are.
And until we see that, that is the time we will start making a difference. It's women for women.
I think also to react to Njeri, there's also an issue with legislation. The laws that govern our land were handed down to us by, sorry to say, colonizers.
It's true.
Right? However, we've not taken time and effort as a sovereign republic to relook the laws and amend them accordingly to fit the people of that nation. So I have democracy as a woman. I'm free to walk in Nairobi. But I have a limitation that the man walking ahead of me has more rights than I do. And it's not spoken. However, we have this hesitation in the legal fraternity to go down, write those laws again, make them fit everyone accordingly. It's almost like we're creating another triangle where there's a dominant gender and the children and women will always be at the bottom. So if you can't give women their rights, when will you give children their rights, right? If you can't give men their rights and you give them all to women, we will never have a balanced state. And this is one of the outcomes of an imbalanced state, imbalanced laws. Women are now getting aggravated. We are getting worried. We are getting louder. We are like, protect us because we are dying. Soon enough, it will be children in high schools protesting that their siblings are being killed, right? Or raped. And when you look at social media, and I think the legal fraternity should look at that, when men start saying, even we are being killed, we know that. We hate that they're being killed. We want the justice system to give men justice.
True.
A man cannot be killed in Muranga and the perpetrator disappears. We don't like that. But also for women, we don't want that to happen to us, but it is happening. So we have chosen to stand for this, hoping that even the men can stand for themselves. True. So the nation understands that all of us are aggrieved and we need to relook our laws. True. Laws cannot be partial to a certain extent, because who's the beneficiary then? Where does, if there's funding for femicide being disbursed and we don't see what it did, women still don't have a hotline they can call. It has to be Njeri to offer a hotline. There are no places to go to. It's Njeri offering places to go to. So we don't know what the legislation needs to do, but we know that the laws are not suitable for our state anymore. People have evolved. Africans have become more aware. We have adopted Western practices. I know when I grew up, women were being honored in my community very much. But in Busia right now, I think in the call we had one time, we were hearing that there's a brothel next to a police station.
What?
With children being brought to be sexually assaulted. Tell me how the law allows for that. And even saying that, to me, it's scary because I'm like, we nimeanika, but it is happening. It is happening, and our children are learning that. So what kind of generation do we have behind us that the law is not protecting? If they come out and become worse than we are, we do not have a nation.
Society.
We do not have a society. So the legislation is the biggest barrier, in my opinion, that they need to amend the laws. Making femicide a crime is one of the steps. There are so many other things that need to be criminalized, and given very steep sentences to make people hesitate to commit crime. We want people to hesitate. Before I kill you, I have thought about it.
And thoroughly.
And I am ready to go where it will take me, but it should never happen in our kind of country. We are one of the best states in East Africa. Why do we have weak laws? Yeah.
And also, just to reiterate, in 1991, there's a school called Sant Kizito. One of Kenyan's shameful stories where the school boys came out of their their dorms and came and raped girls. Yeah, see the way you're shocked. And 61 girls were killed. And they were buried in a mass grave. And there's a book called 770 Stupid Sayings in the World. And the deputy of that school is in that book. Because she said...
She?
Yeah.
Good God.
It was not that big of a deal.
What?
I was reading it and I was taken so aback. Because what do you mean? Like, she did not see like there was a problem. See, the boys ran off their dorms. Like, so I want you to know that in 1991 that happened. And we're in 2025.
Still having the same conversation.
None of those boys was jailed, just so that you know.
They're out here.
Yeah. They are 50-year-old men, 48 to 50-year-old.
Integrating with normal society.
Raising families.
Raising families. Yeah. And they raped.
Leading people in organizations.
Who died? And they're probably, some of them are lawmakers. We don't know.
Probably, you'll never know.
You'll never know because we don't know who they are.
Yeah.
So when I tell you this is a systemic problem that needs to be addressed, and the faster and the quicker we address it, the safer Kenya we build. And let me tell you, a safe Kenya, when we address issues like this, like femicide, it's a safer Kenya for all of us.
True.
It's not a safer Kenya just for women.
Me and you.
It's a safer Kenya for men as well. It's a safer Kenya for children. Because men who will kill me today, it means my child is unsafe, right? For all you know that they could come back and kill that child.
True.
Or if they find my brother in my house or my spouse, God forbid, they'll also kill them.
True.
We don't know. A murderer is a murderer. And hear me.
That is an absolute classic. Twendele by Kleptomaniacs playing on Baze Radio. Very good morning to you and welcome to the AM. And yes, we're still here in conversation as we're talking about a project, Red Lipstick. And this conversation just got hot for a minute. And I think we should take this conversation on air. And we were talking about some of the measures that women constantly have to take to ensure that their safety is on the highest of notes. And I'd love to hear some of the things that you guys do to ensure that, I left in one piece, even your Nitarudi. Please, Maureen, let me hear some of yours.
Personally, myself, I start with Jesus. I have to tell God, I commit myself to you that I will return home.
Yeah.
I'm a mom, so it's not only for me, but also for my daughter.
Yeah.
When I take her to school, I make sure she looks a certain way. And I have to tell her, do not do this, do not do that. And herself, she also wears stockings just to keep attention off of herself.
Oh, no.
She's 9. And it's because the media shows her that when girls are out there, it's not safe, right? And even the consumption of Western media tells the same story. Adolescence is one of the things.
Yeah.
For myself, if I have to go anywhere, if I go to work, I take my husband to work. And then when I get to the office, I tell him I've gotten to the office, that he knows I'm safe.
Yeah.
It's literally a 5-minute drive, but I will have to notify him. If I get an Uber, I have to share my trip with him, and then with my nanny, and sometimes my friends, those who I know can be reactive when things happen. When I go out, I really dress down. I do not want to look nice when I'm outside because it will attract a man, and I am not a good fighter. I've been beaten in a bar before, so I can't fight. I know I can't fight. I can't run. I can't scream. So I have to downplay my existence by looking very simple. When I'm out there, I don't drink too much. And if I'm too drunk, I start rallying the women around me and telling, are you soberer than me? Can you call an Uber? Can you walk? So we start rallying a community while we are out. I avoid work events because you could be sitting doing your job and the people who have attended also start giving unnecessary, and it's men. The people is not women. I've never been approached by a lesbian, but it's the men. They'll come and be like, are you alone? What are you up to? So where do you work? And I'm just like, mind your business. I'm at work. And also wedding them off means they'll start saying you're not even beautiful. Najiringa. Unata. They start bashing how you look, which is the first thing I thought about when I left the house.
Yeah.
By the time I'm even interacting with the watchman, I have to avoid eye contact and being friendly because they can get over friendly. Madam, he. Every man I encounter in a day will not leave me alone as a woman. You just want to. The way men walk and they don't have to be talked to. A boda rider is potentially a dangerous person if you don't banter with them. If you sit behind an Uber, Njeri was giving us a new tip. Sit behind the driver so that you don't connect. Right? And we're always told to sit back left. But this one actually will work better because now when I sit behind them, they don't have to say hi.
See you
Through the rear mirror. That's actually true.
Right? Just sit behind your driver.
You put your mom on a bus to travel up country. You have to ask her who's sitting around you. Are you feeling safe? This is your mother. You're taking care of even the older ones to make sure that there's no one around them who can prey on them and hurt them.
Yeah.
When it's your colleagues in the office, I always tell my team, you need to tell me where you are if you're out there. You need to be around someone. Do not go to an event alone because I cannot control what happens to you. True. This is the reality of a woman. I walk to the supermarket in a hoodie and slacks and I am checking my back consistently. Right? I am pretending I'm on a phone call with a person so that they think somebody will hear me get into trouble. Many of us are doing that. And those are the things at the bottom of femicide. Because I'm always thinking, I need to come back home. Why am I thinking about surviving my day so much? I'm not even scared of car accidents.
Survival.
I'm scared of being caught by the wrong man at the wrong time.
Jerry, we have seen so many campaigns. As you were talking about, there was My Dress, My Choice, and now there is Project Red Lipstick. In your opinion, what would you say is different about this campaign?
This campaign is for every woman. Mm-hmm. And this campaign rallies around a lipstick. I may not even use lipstick. I may use lip gloss, but I use something.
True.
And red is a sign of resistance. And red is a sign of blood. red is a symbol that rallies us all around. And I'm imagining just picking up a lipstick as a sign of resistance. I don't even know a lipstick, and look at me today.
It looks good on you, by the way.
And out here wearing Boss Red by Joanna K.
Period.
And so what is different is we want this to resonate with everyday woman, whether it's Mama Mboga, whether it's a schoolgirl in school, whether it's anyone, because I tell people, and sometimes I feel like I'm the bad voice in the room because I'm the voice that brings doom and gloom. But the thing is, the smallest baby I've ever held in my hands who had been defiled was 4 days old.
What?
And the oldest woman that I've ever been with was 92. So this is a campaign that starts from there
From birth, literally.
to death. And that's the reality that we all need to face, that there is no exceptionalism. When Seth's mother talked to me, Seth was her daughter. She's in one of those letters. And she is an MCA. That means she's a woman in power.
Yeah.
And her daughter was not the exception. She's an MCA in Kirinyaga. And her daughter was still a statistics when it comes to femicide.
Yeah.
If a woman in power and her daughter's killer has never been arrested,
What does that say about us? True.
what about the rest of us?
True.
If you've heard what Maureen said about just being careful about your surrounding, sometimes I talk to my staff and I just tell them we need to just go out so that people can actually know there's a real life outside of the
Everything.
work that
True.
we do. We handled 115 cases in March alone. And yeah, so now we need to just go out there and just see real people and start to not see people as enemies,
True.
you know? And it's really, really hard
Okay.
because that is the kind of environment that you're led to.
Yeah.
And so this is for every woman because we see, and it cuts across class, it cuts across tribe,
Age.
cuts across age, it cuts across everything. It's an intersectional problem. And every woman needs to understand. And every man. This is not a campaign just for women.
True.
We need men
it's
as
a
our
ripple effect.
allies.
True.
We need men as our allies. We need good men. We need to stop saying that's a good man.
True.
Because a good man should be able to stand up for women.
That's true.
Should be an ally. You see, because every time a woman is walking down the street, she doesn't know if you're a good man.
True.
Haujaandikwa,
Yeah.
right? So we need to know who are the good men. And we saw them at the Femicide walk.
Yeah.
They showed up in their numbers and they've shown up. And so we need to see good men sign up this petition.
Yeah.
You know, and tell us, I want to be counted. I want to be here. I am actually taking this petition. Hey, this is what we're doing. Okay, here, my friends. Nimeingia Baze. Ebu sainini petition tusaidie madada.
And actually, now that we're even getting there, so I'm pretty sure there's people who are wondering, okay, there's a campaign. How can I be a part of this? And I think this is a perfect time for you guys to highlight how any man, woman, whatever, how they can come through and help this campaign reach the masses. So please, Maureen.
Number 1, sign the petition.
Where can
Guys,
we get the petition?
The petition is on usikimye.org.
Okay.
When you go into her site, you'll find it. And there's a lot of circulation happening now on digital. You'll find the link popping up. Do not close ads. Just sign the petition. Bear with the ad and sign the petition. Number 2, if you're a woman, why we chose red lipstick, it's a bold statement. It is a moment. Most women, when they think of even a woman in Kapsabet, if she's going out for her wedding, she will don red lipstick.
True.
In your most beautiful, elevated, feminine state, red lipstick will feature in some point. Wear red lipstick. Take a video. Very simple. Eka tu simu mbele yako hivi. My name is so-and-so. I support this cause. Let your face be seen as a supporter. For men, go do the same. Don't put on lipstick.
They can put on lipstick.
If you like
I
it,
mean,
who am I to stop you? Who am I? But just go out there and rally behind us, comment, make people understand what femicide is about. Now that we are talking about it, read more about it also. Don't remain ignorant about it. You could have a daughter, you could have a wife. You came from a woman. For those purposes, go in and talk about femicide, advocate with us, call other men against you, like tag them. We had the ice bucket challenge. Tag the men you know at Ombachi, Ombachi si ati nakutafuta. At Ombachi, at Jimmy. Just go out there, tag each other and let the other men come and crony behind us. We need support. We can't do it alone. Jerry has been telling us men are our allies.
True.
While the other part is a perpetrator, the other part, they're those who can do really good work with us. And then finally, let's change how we talk about each other from men to women. Let it be more positive portrayal of the genders. It will go a long way in making this an easier action to make. Legislators, do your work.
True.
Yeah.
Jerry?
Sign the petition. Man, I mean, it's what, 2 seconds?
Honestly.
Sign the petition. Have you signed the petition?
I'm yet to sign it.
Can you remove your phone?
Right now.
Good.
Violently.
Right now.
Can
right
you remove
now.
your phone, Mr. Cameraman? I'm not leaving here until I have your signatures.
Oh my gosh. I'm on the link now.
Right.
Guys, www.usikimye.org. Let's do it together.
Yes.
Let us do it together.
Let's say there, Project Red Lipstick. We can even do it. It's on our socials, all our socials.
Yes.
It's on our bio, on Usikimye, on IG. And I'm just telling you these things even as I walk. It's on my Twitter, on Jerry Wamegwe. It's on Usikimye's Twitter. It's on Facebook. Of course, it may take time.
Help me. But yes. So guys, as you've heard it, straight from Maureen and Njeri, make sure you sign the petition. Again, it's on www.usikimye.org. For the men who want to help,
sign the petition.
You can't get your red lipstick. Wait, can people use any other forms of red, like shirts? Or
Yes, men can wear red shirts. You can wear a red tie. You can wear a red cap.
Okay.
Bring in the red. If you're a lady, find Joanna K Cosmetics. Please get her lippy. Wear it boldly and unapologetically. Please, girl. Do it. If you don't have access to her products, find a red lipstick and wear it. Do not feel limited to what we've offered. There's so much out there. But just be part of it. And thank you to the 9,000 who
petition.
Yeah, share.
10,000. Share it on your WhatsApp. When people ask you questions, be able to answer. If you don't know how to answer, come to our DMs, ask us. We will give you. We will lead you.
Exactly.
I mean, if you look at all our socials, we have actually yes. Now, have you shared?
I want to share it now.
We are so proud of you. You have no
Thank you.
Yes.
Donkey.
You see how we do it? And make
As
it objectively. I'll get 3 people to sign every day.
I'm actually sending it to my girl group right now.
Yeah. Thank you.
Listen,
that's how we do it.
Girlies. We gotta look out for each other.
To be girlies for girlies.
We gotta look out for each other.
Yeah.
But guys, the conversation is still trickling into the next hour. But thank you so much, Njeri. Thank you so much, Maureen, for giving us so much insight. We're about to get into the next hour with our 2 lovely guests.
Yes.
Yeah, they're rocking their red bull lip. I feel like Nikona Fomoya lipstick. Can't believe it. Please. Please, ni fairway.
Bye. Joanna ko hapa. Bye.
Goodness. But we're about to get into the next hour. We are going to the top with Salty Souls by the River right here on Baze Radio. That is Otile Brown and Harmonize with Woman playing on Baze Radio. A very good morning to you and welcome to the AM. Only 4 minutes past 11 on the clock. Officially in our last hour and our conversation is still ongoing. But we've had a little bit of a seat change. We have some of your favorite influencers and business girlies in the house. So you have to do the same thing I did for Jerry and Maureen. So let's go.
And now, make some noise! Turn up your radios.
I just want your autograph!
For our Baze Radio guest. Stay tuned.
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not a hoax. It is not a joke when I tell you Joanna K and Stephanie Nganga are in the house. Yes.
I love it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know. I'm quite extra, but it works. It works. Good morning, girlies.
Good morning.
Hey. Oh, first of all, you guys morning girls.
Yes.
No.
Me, I am.
Okay, depends.
Because please, just
predominantly I'm a morning.
We're up at
3 a.m.
We ride at dawn.
Listen, I love it. So again, the conversation is still ongoing, and we're talking about the campaign, which is the Red Lipstick and Usikimye campaign. And I know you're coming on as a cosmetic partner, and Stephanie, you're coming on as a digital influencer.
Correct.
And I would love to understand from both your perspectives, what are some of the myths that you've heard, or that people still believe in regards to femicide or abuse of women? What are some of the things that you've heard?
Do you want to take it away?
I'll let you take it.
Thank you so much. Some of the myths, and this is something I find very jarring, we like to focus on the alleged character. So he's a good guy, he's charming, or he would never do that. But the reality is as if any of those excuse violence. I think another one is now we shift the blame to the victims or the women, where it's like she must have provoked him. Kuna kitu ulisema ikamkasirisha, you must have irked parts of him. Exactly. So I guess those are some of the myths that I've come to interact with. Yeah.
Joanna?
I think another myth for me would be that femicide is just like any other murder, which I think Jerry also touched on. It's rooted in something that's a lot deeper than, say, just any other murder, which is, of course, why we're pushing it for it to be a crime, because we can't be treating it like anything else.
True.
When the reason why it's happening is a lot deeper than anything else.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
So, Joanna, I think I'll start with you first, and I'd love to understand how specifically, or in your perspective, how would you say Joanna K Cosmetics is coming on this project to support? How is your brand coming on to support this campaign? If you can give us in detail, please.
Okay, so the campaign is Project Red Lipstick, and my brand, Joanna K Cosmetics, has red lipsticks, which we are all wearing.
Come on.
Yes, so I think as a beauty brand, that's the first way that we're contributing is through our product. So aside from partnering with Usikimye and Ogilvy, they're also going to be content creators on the campaign to amplify it. Okay. So they're going to be wearing our red lipsticks, to call attention.
Yes.
And then on top of that, we're also going to be donating a percentage of the sales we make of the same red lipsticks to Usikimye so that they can use that in their rescue efforts. And then we also have a huge community of women, our customers, our potential customers, and we're going to be leveraging that for sure and getting them to join us, to sign the petition, to take selfies and call attention to this campaign. And we're going to be using our platforms to do that.
Okay. So, Stephanie, so far, I'm pretty sure right now most of your followers have seen that you're part of this campaign.
Yeah.
So what has the feedback been like from some of your followers or guys who probably listen to your podcast? Please, what's the reach been like?
Wow, it's been incredibly moving. I'll start by saying that I can feel like there's an energy shift, and I don't know if my colleagues can attest to this, where people are curious as to, first of all, what is this Project Red Lipstick? Number two, there's the shock that people come to realize that, femicide isn't even a legal term, leave alone that it is not legally recognized as a crime, which is what we are saying. Femicide is, I guess the challenge here has been, for most people, they like to separate the two, but we're saying that femicide should be recognized as a crime, and it needs its own attention, its own urgency, and its own justice, and it is not to forgo the others or to erase the existence of the others. I think another thing is, even when it comes to the shift, there's been people sharing their stories, which are incredibly painful, even just as someone from the outside looking in, but they are necessary conversations. So the movement we are picking up, and this campaign is evidently picking into a collective pain, but also a collective hope. Yeah.
I like that. I think we'll leave that just there for starters. But the conversation is still about to continue as we get to enjoy some good music right here on Baze Radio. That is Mvua with Panda Basi playing on Baze Radio. Very good morning to you and welcome to the AM. And we are still in conversation with Joanna and Stephanie. And I want to take just a little bit of a segue. Just still in this conversation. And there's a notion If you look at the last campaigns that we've had, My Dress, My Choice, the Femicide march that we had, there's this notion that most of these things are always being championed by feminists. As we know, being a feminist in today's society has a very negative connotation. And in regards to this campaign, what would you say is the main agenda? Like putting even feminism in it and everything in between inside this campaign. What would you say is the main agenda for getting this message out?
I think femicide affects everyone.
Yes.
It doesn't check whether you're a feminist or not. It doesn't even check if you were just born 4 days ago or you're 92 years old. So I think this is not it's not about you're a feminist, you're not, this is something that cuts across everyone.
And just to reiterate, there's a belief that femicide affects or is prone to a particular type of person.
Yes.
But just as Joanna is saying, it doesn't discriminate, feminist or not, mothers, daughters, sisters, wives, cousins, neighbors, you name it. Everybody, myself, yourself, herself, everybody can fall victim to it. So I think we need to stop. The shift needs to happen from us trying to make sense of things, justify, and now take action. So feminist or not, it could still happen to you. So which side do you want to be on?
And also, being that your business, I'm pretty sure majority of your employees are women. How would you say, as a boss, one, you empower women in your business, and two, desensitizing them about certain conversations? How do you go about it as a boss?
That's a good question. So my core team is actually all women.
For women by women with women.
Yes.
For women by women. So in terms of uplifting them, we do trainings together for them to upskill. The company pays for them to be able to do courses and all to upskill, because I think a big part of uplifting women is for them to be able to have their own source of income.
Very true.
That's very, very important. So I think, in fact, just by them working in the brand is already uplifting them, but we do try to have them do courses and things like that to upskill. And then your other question was
Desensitizing them
desensitizing
on
them.
situations that happen all around them, considering the fact that they are women.
I would even say they're the ones who desensitize me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're Gen Zs.
Power. Viva!
That's all you had to say.
I think two of them are Gen Zs, and one is, she's basically a Gen Z.
A Milenzi.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they are the ones who are desensitizing me.
Yeah.
They're very different from millennials. They're so aware and they're
vocal.
They're very vocal and they're not unapologetic about it. So I feel like we really have conversations about this a lot. I think that's also the benefit about being in a woman-only space. First of all, we always it's just a nice space to be in, but then we're able to have these conversations openly without feeling like we're hurting someone's feelings by talking about this and the other. Yeah.
Additionally, even just to add, I mean, I'm not an employee, but I imagine that she has created an environment by virtue that it is a women's environment. So they don't come into the office scared that should I speak up, should I do this, should I do that, things will go south. So you're doing amazing.
True.
And power to you.
True.
Yeah.
Now to you, Stephanie.
Talk to me.
So, if you remember around the time when we were having the demos, there was a very huge conversation about influencers and people who have influence on social media being tone deaf.
Yes.
And especially for this campaign, I'd love to understand from your perspective, do you think that everybody, like, it's a must for anybody, especially the lady influencers? Do you feel like it's a must for them to speak on this issue? Because sometimes society has unspoken expectations to influencers that they don't know of. So even in this moment where, you are the lead digital influencer of this campaign, what would you say to other influencers in regard to just helping that this message gets everywhere and across?
Okay. So I'll start with the first question, if I think it's a must. I would hope that they feel it's a must. So I'm not one to particularly impose because, again, free will.
Yes.
But by virtue that I am a woman with a predominantly female audience, it becomes my responsibility. Abby, allow me to take you to church.
Please. Oh.
Luke 12:48. It says, to whom much is given, much is expected. James 4:17. If anyone then knows the good they ought to do and doesn't do it, it is sin for them.
Preach, preacher.
Now, I do not want to be the judge, jury, and prosecution because I don't know what happens when we go to the pearly whites.
Yes.
But the internet doesn't forget and it will remember your silence. And I think for my fellow influencers, they assume, you have to have like a huge number of following, or I don't have the right words, or I don't have the like perfect
aesthetic to get this message across.
to put this message across. All you need to do is to care enough. Am I a woman? Yes. Can this happen to me?
Absolutely.
Yes. Do I care enough? Yes. And so the collective stand is we want to end this fight, but in one way to end it is to make it a crime. So I'm not going to impose. The Bible did say it's a sin. So
I love that you're gaslighting with the Bible. I love it.
if you want to hear it from me, Abby, go to the
Hear
Bible.
it from the Bible.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is Time Flies by Burna Boy and Sauti Soul playing on Baze Radio. Very good morning to you and welcome to the AM. And of course, you're hanging with me, Maria, Joanna K, and Stephanie Nganga. And yes, we're still deep in the conversation about the Project Red Lipstick campaign. And again, I think let's just deep dive into, because social media, nini. So let's side chat. Go to. So prior to this campaign, I'd love to know for both of you personally, do you remember the first time you read a story about femicide? And not just as a statistic, but something that was almost close to home. And when was the first time you had one of these stories and it shook your core?
Wow. I have to rack my brain for this one. The first time, because I feel like I have seen an overwhelming amount of information. So my brain is currently going through.
No, tell me the one that comes to the top of your head.
So there's the case of Sharon. And I think, I don't know how to put this. It's in the sense what we were talking about earlier. Like, it doesn't discriminate. I think when most people start to care when it's either themselves or when it hits close to home. So you hear it's like a story of a neighbor, but at the same, it still feels very distant.
Yeah.
I know for me, this is maybe on tangent, but even just as a person myself, the daunting, crippling fear of entering an Uber at night, that in itself usually scares me to bits, The other day, this is now like a personal story. I was coming from Lavington a bit late, and so for me, I enter the Uber and I sit and I keep quiet. I'm one of those people who prefer to have a silent ride.
Oh, hallelujah.
Like, hata tusionge. Let's not talk.
I'm good.
The minimum I would say is probably, hi, habari yako? Sasa. And and I always say boss. I now that I think about it, it's very it's almost like a weird power play. I'm like, habari yako boss? Sawa, salama. So I enter the Uber and then this guy he's like, tunaenda wapi? I say tunaenda wapi. 5 minutes later he starts, you should be talking to the driver. And in that moment I started texting. I was just like, Kwisha maybe. And for the whole way, and it was a long distance from Lavington all the way to Thika Road. I had to engage in conversation just because I was so scared.
No.
So I think Sharon might have been the case where when I first had it, I was now privy even to the language that is used.
Yeah.
But even from my own personal experience, I think Ubers, that's one thing that I think is a very familiar feeling. It's a very jarring, like you feel like you get goosebumps and your hairs start to rise.
Yeah.
So but Sharon's must have been one of the first ones where I started to understand the language. Yeah.
Joanna?
I can't remember for me the details of the case, but it was this girl who turned a guy down, and then he traveled from, I think she was in university. I don't know if you guys...
Is that Dr. Ivy?
Like
That's a Dr. Ivy, right?
The book continue with the story.
Yeah, I think she was in uni, and then she turned this guy down, and he traveled
with a panga,
from other county, and he
killed her.
And he killed her.
Yeah.
I even read that story on Facebook.
I think it is Dr. Ivy Wangeshi.
I was.
It is her.
I was really shocked. I think that one really hit close to home, or it just shocked me a lot, because I thought you can say no to a man and he feels that gives him the right to punish you by killing you.
By taking away your life.
Yeah, that was really insane to me, because I feel like men put us in these positions all the time where we are going to reject them.
Yeah.
So it's so scary to think that just by me saying no, that means
It could cost you your life.
It cost me my life. Yeah, that's the one I remember that just made me be like, oh my God.
Shivers.
Yeah.
So now that we have shared these stories, I'd love to understand, because like you said, this is a campaign that's being spearheaded by women. We're doing it for the race. It's for the girls with the girlies. Yes. How are you guys giving support to each other? And especially for Njeri, because being in this campaign is one thing. And, also constantly having to deal with whatever is happening really, truly on the ground is another thing altogether. And also when you get to hear stories of girls sharing their stories to you on social media, and, for Maureen, you have a child that you constantly have to be on the lookout for. Joanna, you have a brand and people are expecting so much from you because you have to be a constant voice speaking. Use your brand, use you yourself as a brand. How are you guys offering support to each other?
I'll say from the first meeting we had at the Ogilvy offices, I remember this was my first time meeting Jerry. And when she was saying these stories, I was seated across my sister stroke manager and the tears.
Aww.
And I remember telling Jerry a big part, and I'm even going to start being emotional, sorry.
It's okay.
But like a big part of a person like myself is I'm an empath. And so even from consuming this type of information, it's very daunting. And I remember Jerry told me, I just need to cry. And I don't know if I told Maureen this, but I went home and I did cry. So I think for me, a big part of supporting myself so that I can show up for them is also to allow myself to feel. Yeah. Because I believe as humans, we were made to be emotive. Otherwise, we would be like rocks.
True.
So in the same ways that we express emotions like joy and happiness and sadness, we will also feel this pain and anger. So I feel first.
Before anything else.
Yeah. So that I can show up for them too.
I get that.
Yeah.
I think I would also agree with what Steph has said.
Yeah.
And just to add, I think as women, we really allow ourselves we create safe spaces for ourselves and for each other to actually feel those emotions.
Yeah.
So even if you are to start crying now,
we'd all be like, it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think just that sisterhood, I think is how we're gonna support each other.
Yeah.
That if you feel like crying, go ahead and cry. Tomorrow we continue fighting. Yeah.
Okay. I like that. We'll take just a little break before we wrap up this conversation in just a bit. But coming right up is Maua Sama and Ali Kiba with Itakuwaje on Baze. That is Enzo Sifredi, Voodoo Child, Bakabo, and Mariam Zawose with Pole Pole playing on Baze Radio. Very good morning to you and welcome to the AM. And as we're about to call this conversation a convo in just a few minutes, I'd love to understand from both Joanna and Stephanie, when you envision digital activism in Kenya, where do you think it needs to go next? And especially in regards to this campaign, because of course we have an agenda which we will definitely reach. We have to reach. There is no two ways about it.
Yeah.
But in coming times, where do you envision digital activism going to?
I think I would envision it becoming a personal responsibility, because I think at the moment we're really trying to push for people to join, even within creators in our spaces. So my hope and wish and prayer on the stars would be now it's almost like a given. This is the call to action, and then we act instead of first having to do this urging of people to do it. So I think within the creator or the digital space, the activism would look like it becomes a personal responsibility, not from a place of, oh, this is trendy, this is aesthetic. It's a responsibility. As we said, to whom much is given,
Much is expected.
and the church said amen.
Amen.
And Joanna, to you, same question, but I'll coin it in regards to businesses. How would you say, when you look at the future, how do you think businesses can come on board to champion for activism?
Yeah, I think businesses should care about more than just selling.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to solve a problem for your customer. So you need to really understand them. And if you're, say, a brand that is for women and you're not speaking out about issues that are affecting women.
True.
It doesn't make sense. So I hope to see more businesses and more brands having the courage to speak out, because the truth is, I know the bottom line is we want to make money, and sometimes speaking out on certain things means a few people will be like, I don't think I want to support this brand
They'll
anymore.
fall off the wagon.
Yeah, they're gonna fall off. So I hope more brands have the courage to take a stand. Yeah, don't just be neutral, take a stand and say, these are the people who we're in business for. These are the people who are keeping us in business.
Yeah.
So we definitely care about them beyond the money that they give us. Yeah.
And this, Stephanie, there's something that you've said,
Yes.
which was very beautiful, and you were talking about culture.
Yes.
And how the culture has also just shifted a lot of conversations over time.
Yeah.
And I just want us to think in the ideal world. As we've said, the main goal for this campaign is for us to get the signatures so it can get legislated.
Yeah.
And let's just imagine in an ideal world that this gets to Parliament, it's tabled, boom, it's officially a law.
Yeah.
What would you say culturally needs to change alongside of that?
What would need to change alongside that? I think by the time that happens, which it will happen, inshallah, we would remove the culture of shame, and we would stop fixating and making sense and justifying and excusing the perpetrators, and then instead give these resources that we are trying so hard to defend one side to the other, the side that actually matters. So I think for me it would be the culture of shame. It would no longer be a conversation that if I speak on my stories about, someone drops off, someone exits, someone skips, someone unfollows. It will become the norm, and then we start to normalize things. I guess with influencers, we forget how much power we wield within our audiences. We have the power to set tone to these conversations, to shape and shift culture, and then to make a new normal. So, yeah.
I like that. Joanna, anything you want to add on?
Yeah, I think for me, I would say if it goes through, and
Which it will.
I think I'm just excited for people to, unfortunately, it's a starting point where people are actually scared to commit the crime of killing a woman.
Yeah.
Because I feel like right now it's like
There's an immunity, an unspoken immunity that they,
it's like the law favors the perpetrator.
Yeah.
Because I know even if I do it,
there's only so far it will
there's
go.
only so far it will go. So I feel like that's a starting point. It sends a message that what you're doing is wrong and you can be punished for it. So then I think now from there we can start working backwards to see how did we even get here in the first place.
And then maybe just to add, we will start to feel safe as women in our bodies, in our homes, in our workplaces, in our means of transport. Yeah.
I like that. So again, this is just that time where you can tell people more and how they can sign this petition. And even especially for the male influencers and content creators who are wondering, hey, where do I fit in? Says lipstick red. Please tell us, Stephanie, how can they go about it?
I think for the male influencers, I would beseech them to listen. You listen without being so defensive. You listen and you don't even have to go far. Your girlfriend, your wife, those women that are around you, you listen, and then now it will start to make sense to you. Additionally, to use their platforms with a purpose. Again, I will take people to church and back. To whom much is given, much is expected. And you may not be able to wear the red lipstick, but you can buy the red lipstick for someone to wear. You can sign the petition. You can use your platform. You can do so much.
True.
So I guess for the male influencers, it is a choice. Yeah.
Joanna, for the businesses, what would you tell any other boss babe or boss man who's out there and is wondering how they can step in and champion for this campaign? Please let us know.
I think they can just start by sharing what is already going to be out there and telling their customers, potential customers, to sign the petition, and just to realize that, yes, you're there to make money, but a customer who feels that you care about them beyond that money that you're getting is a customer who is going to keep coming back to you.
That's true.
Yeah. So share the content that we're going to put out. tell people to sign the petition. Yeah, let's do it, guys. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Honestly, I think this has been one of the most, those conversations that you have, but there's a problem, but it takes you so deep into, and I'm like, why? Like the whole time I've just been saying, we really have a problem.
Yeah.
Like, kuna shida, yes, but kuna shida. And I'm happy that some of the most popular faces that we enjoy and love to see on social media are the ones who are championing this. So again, you have my support. Anything that you need done, holla at me. Which means live stream, your mic check, we are definitely going to talk about this. This is a must. The boys love girls. They love girls.
Love them.
There you go. So we definitely have to talk about this, but I really, really do hope that this gets to a point where it doesn't need to be a back and forth conversation.
It starts feeling natural.
You get what I mean?
It's a given.
The back and forth, it has to stop. This has to be done and cemented once and for all. So thank you so much, Ogilvy. Thank you so much, Stephanie, Joanna, and Jerry. You guys are doing such an amazing job. On behalf of all the girlies, we appreciate you. And yes, you have our support by force.
By fire.
By force. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
This is Baze Radio.
We are 254 to the core.